This is the Kiwi Ears Quartet. Linsol was nice enough to send me not one, not two, but 3 pairs of Kiwi Ears offerings, and I thought we'd start with this one. This is the Quartet. It's $110, and for that money you get 2 balanced armatures and 2 dynamic drivers. You also get 3 sets of ear tips in the box, which is very nice. Not 3 sizes, 3 sets of ear tips with 3 sizes each. We'll get to what that does in a second. And a nifty little SIM ejector tool, because this is a smart, I'm just kidding, this is not smart. The SIM ejector tool is simply so you can switch tunings, because it comes with 2 switches on either earbud. 2 switches means 4 settings, 4 different sound signatures. We'll get to that as well in just a second. You also get a nifty little carry case, which is much thinner and more reasonably sized than a lot of other IEMs are coming with these days, so that's nice. And it comes with a manual. What's weird is the manual has no word on what to do with the switches or what positions have which tunings, which, I mean, if you go to the website, they do tell you, but you'd think if you're printing the paper anyway, you may as well include that information. Nonetheless, that's where I come in. Let me tell you what it sounds like, but first, what it feels like. The first thing I noticed was that this is a very comfortable IEM. It's got this semi-custom shell, which in my ear at least fits beautifully. Maybe it juts out just a little bit, but overall it's a beautiful fit. The nozzle seems a bit shallow, but that's not really a problem because the fit is so good in the ear and it's very snug. And the nozzle diameter is 6 millimeters, which is kind of par for the course these days for a lot of IEMs. As long as you don't mind that diameter, this is going to be one of the most comfortable IEMs that you're going to experience in a while, at least in this price segment. On a side note, I'll also say the cable that's included is nice, thick, supple, good quality all around, no issues. Now, the next thing you notice when you put these things in your ear is the sound. And the first thing is that it is very bass boosted. This is a very bass forward IEM, and that bass definitely extends into the lower mids, bleeding in and making it not as muddy as I would have thought, but still generally a warm, bassy sound, to the point where I think it also sounds a little bit unnatural. Bass seems to have this reverberant nature even when there shouldn't be any reverb in the bass, and that's a little bit unsettling. Overall though, if you like a warm bassy signature, this is a good start. However, it does make the mids a little muddy, and because the bass is pushed up so much, the lower mids and the sort of mid mids, the male vocals for example, will sound a little bit recessed, a little bit back of the mix, so to speak. When you're not listening to anything with bass in it, say a track that is vocal focused and instrument focused, then this doesn't seem apparent at all. It's just when the bass kicks in, because of the relative levels of emphasis, the male vocals tend to seem a little bit recessed. Female vocals don't suffer from the same. In fact, generally speaking, vocals mid-range, they sound reasonably pleasant. I don't sense any timbral issues. They sound very natural. Vocals and the mid-range itself seems good. The problem arises in the treble, and this is from subjective listening, mind you, not even looking at the frequency response. It was very evident that there were some clear treble spikes, somewhere between 5 and 8K, and then definite irregularity somewhere in the upper treble as well. A lot of vocals, a lot of guitars, if you listen to them, they sound good for the most part, but then there's this jagged edge that is clearly somewhere between sort of 6, 7, 8,000 hertz, and that kind of ruined the experience for me. It was all pervading, it is very audible, and is definitely an issue. In the upper treble as well, some songs would sound as if the treble was completely squashed, and some songs would sound like they had a little more spiciness than was needed. So clearly there's some unevenness there as well. And this is the main problem with the Quartet. On the one hand, the bass and the mids for my taste are too elevated. The mid-range is not elevated enough to combat that. And then the treble, it seems a little irregular. The mids by themselves sound nice though. Now here's the thing. I said it came with 3 different types of ear tips. Presumably that changes the sound a little bit. Turns out, not really. Oh, and by the way, can I just, a little reminder for you to hit that subscribe button or consider becoming a member? Thank you. That's it. Back to the video. Which brings us to the other option, the switches. Now there are 2 switches and 4 combinations that you can use, and all of them change the tonal balance somewhat. Here's the problem. The bass doesn't change, so there's nothing to change the level of bass bleed into the mids. The treble doesn't change, so there's nothing to fix the irregularities. The only thing they change is the one thing I don't think they really need to change, and that is the mid-range. The ear gain is the only thing that either goes up or down. Now, one of the settings actually did try and balance things out a little bit. Basically, switch 1 up, switch 2 down. I believe that was the position that increased the ear gain a little, thereby attempting to balance out the bass boost a little, making it a more V-shaped sounding IEM. So male vocals did not sound as recessed as they would have otherwise. However, they also exaggerated the treble irregularity, so they made the sharpness even worse. Overall, I don't think the switches do very much except to change the mid-range, which don't really require changing. And the flaws that are inherent in this tuning, well, they don't go away with the switches or with the ear tips. And that's a problem when it costs $110 given the competition that's out there. In terms of detail and technicality, it's not a very spacious soundstage. Imaging is okay, it's not terrible at all, but nothing to write home about. And detail-wise, it is strictly middle of the road. It's really not a detail monster at all. And with 4 drivers, that seems like a bit of a problem. Tuning might have fixed this, but here's the thing, without good tuning, even if this were half the price, it would be hard to recommend. The one takeaway is that it's very comfortable, and that's it. In the current market, I believe there are better offerings sub $100, and so for $110, the Kiwi Ear Quartet seems decidedly mid-tier and average, and has some issues that I believe will bother a lot of people. Issues that you can't really fix with the switches or with the ear tips, so I can't really recommend the Quartet over the competition. If you want to know what the competition is like though, click on these videos and you'll get a good idea of what you can get for under $100 these days, sometimes under $60. Check it out. I'll see you in the next one. Stay happy, stay peaceful, stay colorful. Namaste.